Hey there. I wanted to make this message to talk a little bit about what's coming for Laura Towns, for the work that I'm doing, and what may be coming for you. One of the things that I pay attention to on a sort of still a very young student level is the cycles of the planets. And if you've been following me for any length of time now, or if you've read the piece that came to you maybe when you subscribed to my email list, you know that there has been a lot moving over the last few years. And one of the things I've learned is that with my particular rising sign, which is Capricorn, Saturn, the largest and slowest of the planets and the most kind of sturdy and structure bound of the planets, has been moving through Sagittarius for the last 29 years and is about to, in a couple of days, come into Capricorn. So, no, I need to correct myself. It wasn't the last 29 years, but it was the last few years. And what that's meant for me as a Capricorn rising has been a real dissolving and a kind of deep excavation of patterns and ways of being that were no longer serving. It's been, in my actual life, it's been a period of what seems like structures falling away and new truth emerging. Truth that was always there, but that was hidden by these other structures that were really in the way. So I have felt a distinct momentum in the last several months as things have progressed, and as one of the astrologers that I follow who interprets the movements of the planets has basically been able to put that into a framework for me to understand how and what's going on. So I took some notes the last time I listened to one of her teachings, and what she says right now, I'm finishing the transit through the 12th house. Saturn was moving through my 12th house, which is ending some aspect of identity. And in December 2014 was when I really hit this wall that showed me that I was on some path that was feeling more and more foreign to who I was inside. And the further I went down that path, the more alienated I felt from my own life. And I was married and I had my children and I had a job that I loved, but no part of it was actually working the way I wanted it to work for the rest of my life, certainly. And it wasn't even working at that moment. We really had hit a crisis point. So there's that 3-year mark. We're right at 3 years. This is a finishing up. There was a sort of finishing up in the last few months and a letting go of something big, all of which has been quite true when I look at the sort of significant events that have happened over the last year, certainly over the last 6 months, and in a larger, broader arc over the last 3 years. So I can feel that what is asking to come through me is coming through me. And I can feel that the way in which I'm called to serve and to teach that's what I'm going to be doing. So I have been coaching for a while now, and I have been able to serve people in a way that feels completely authentic and true to me. It feels like there's a deeper place for me to go. And so what I wanted to talk today about with you as people who are kind of in my inner tribe is where things are going for Laura Towns and for the kind of coaching that I'm doing and the kind of teaching. I've been working on a very broad way with life coaching and spiritual coaching. I use a spiritual lens to help kind of come into the practical aspects of living and how to create a life that you want. The way I will be teaching in the future is going to be much more specific about money. And the reason I want to do that is because money is something that we have such a hard time allowing ourselves to enjoy and receive. And it's very, very much the same as allowing ourselves to enjoy and receive any kind of pleasure or any kind of joy. But money itself is not only a very practical thing that we need to call into our lives, but it's a necessity. It is absolutely a necessity. And knowing how to create money or create wealth is essential to live in this world, period. It is essential if you are seeking to bring more of yourself to the world. But let's say you're not. Let's say you just want to live your life. You have to know how to bring money into your life. You have to know how to create it. And what I find is that a good part of, before we can get to the numbers, before we can get to the math of creating wealth or creating money, there's a lot that we have to do inside. And very few people I know actually have a completely clear and free relationship with money. There is some, whether you have money or don't have money, there is some aspect or some signature of worry or worthiness or stress or grippiness. There is some aspect of it that does not allow for there to be a complete freedom and ease, which is exactly how money wants to be in your life. So if you are actually seeking to do more in your life, if you are actually seeking to be bigger, to impact or reach more people in however you want to live, then you also need money. There is a teacher, hold on one second because I'm going to get this book. This guy back in the 1920s or 1910s wrote this book. His name is Wallace Wattles, which is, if that's not an old-fashioned name, I don't know what is, but he wrote this wonderful little pamphlet, which is how books were written, I think, at that time. And the one that I have here, The Science of Success, which is 3 of his pamphlets. And I bought it for $7.98 at Barnes & Noble. Big investment. But his first chapter is called, can you read that? The Science of Getting Rich. And he basically says, we are supposed to be rich. And I know that there are, Christians who feel that that's an entitlement, and I'm wary of putting it out there. But the truth is, in order for us to actually be able to blossom and flourish, we are supposed to have money. We need to have money. At this point, our survival depends on our ability to create money, to create wealth in our lives. Our survival doesn't depend on us having to create food. We have people who do that, people who love to do that, and we have to be able to pay them so that they can pay their electric bills and pay to feed their animals and pay their staff who help keep the animals and things like that, and grow the vegetables and grow all of that. So our actual survival needs are much less about what they used to be and much more about being able to create money that will sustain us, certainly on a survival level, but absolutely on a thriving level. Creating money is not about math, not first. Creating money and creating wealth is much more about the interior and how we allow and how we receive. It is also about the actions we take. So the way that I'm thinking about this and the way that my work is going to be shifting, I consider myself first and foremost a spiritual teacher. I consider myself first and foremost a teacher of accessibility into the inner life and clearing out through inquiry what is not true. Because anything that we carry with us that is not examined becomes an impediment to what we want. We live unconsciously from those places rather than being able to move in clarity and in freedom. So what I'm going to be doing in 2018 and beyond, or let's just say 2018, what I'm going to be doing next is going to be using money as a tool for spiritual teaching, or using money as the playground for spiritual awakening. It's very practical, and it requires a big inner journey. So I wanted to just let you know that that's where I'm shifting, and this is really following what is coming up through me, and asking for me to teach. Money and spirituality are usually like oil and water, polarized, and money itself, or any kind of pleasure, is marginalized. And certain people have money, and it means certain things if you have money or if you want money, all of these things. And so I'm here to not only poke holes in those beliefs, but help you find the ways that are true for you to be able to bring that into your life. I'm assuming that that's what you want, but of course, if that's not something that you want to create, that's totally fine. Not everybody wants to create money, and that's fine too. But if you're a person who's over there wanting or needing more money in some way, or wanting to gain clarity around why you feel this hitch around money, then this is, we're going to want to do some work together. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is offering a 5-week group course, and that's starting in February. The enrollment is going to start in January, and you'll hear more about that. But I'm also going to be changing how I work with people and be doing a different kind of mentoring, and I'm still sort of working out the details on that. The last thing I want to say is that between now and December 31st, New Year's Eve, I'm going to reduce the price of my 12-week coaching program. It's normally $2,200 to work with me for 12 weeks in an intensive one-on-one basis. But I'm going to drop the price to $1,600. And I'm doing that as a way to encourage people who may be thinking ahead to their future, thinking ahead to 2018, to go ahead and commit now to doing the work. We commit now, then we can start in January, and you can see the results of the work that we're doing by the end of March. And that's very powerful. When we sit and we think about the things we want and think about the life that we want, we can think until the cows come home. It's not until we take action that we actually start seeing the results. So if you make yourself or give yourself a commitment now to begin doing the work, when we would begin in January, then you're committing now to seeing the results. You will be taking action towards the results you want to create. And that's huge. It's all about the actions you take. And that's the rub. So I want to reduce, since I know I'm going to be shifting the focus of my work in 2018, if you are here and thinking about doing some life coaching, I encourage, since the rates will definitely be going up in 2018, to jump in now and start with a 12-week coaching program for $1,600, and that would help you map out what you want to create in the long term, and we will get a big chunk of that, sort of the foundational pieces of it, taken care of in the first 12 weeks of 2018. So that's kind of what's going on. It's the end of a big cycle for me, and a coming to fruition of this deep knowing that I have, and the way that I get to serve at this point. And serving people to find freedom around money and empowerment around money, and not having it feel, I'm not even quite sure, dirty, or not having them feel bad, or not having any conflict at all, but just having it be the most easeful, joyful, wonderful thing, which is exactly what money wants to be in your life. And so the lens, the work that we get to do, is to look at where we block ourselves from that, and then create. So it's still, anything can be a tool for learning, anything at all. I'm choosing to use money as the tool for teaching and the tool for learning, because I think that's an area that we don't talk about very much, not on a spiritual level, not on an inner landscape level. So that's my video for today. I am all bundled up because it's winter in New England, and I get cold easily, so I have my scarf and my hat on. And I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful sort of entry into the holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. This is a busy time of year for most people, and I hope that there is some peace coming to you in the next few days and few weeks. And if you have any questions or want to reach out about anything at all, don't hesitate to send me an email, okay? Lots of love.